Hi, it's Kevin Lebates here, and today I want to talk a bit about stablecoins and stablecoin-backed chains, or maybe backed chains is not the right terminology, but anyway, the issue here is that stablecoins are now considered legitimate. We have the Genius Act in the United States and MiCA, Market in Crypto Assets regulation in the European Union. It's only taken them 9 years to get around to this, 11. I think the first stablecoins came out in 2014, although the first ERC20 stablecoins on Ethereum appeared in 2018. But anyway, it's been a while. Now there's some legislation and therefore some more clarity as to what they are and what is allowed to be done with them. Not everything has been covered yet, but the basis is there, and as a result stablecoins are seen as legitimate by the traditional financial world. And surprise, surprise, as a result we're seeing an explosion of stablecoins being issued by all sorts of entities as a response, because at the moment having a successful stablecoin is effectively a license to print money. If you manage to get $100 billion worth of backing for your stablecoin, then you are legally not allowed to pay interest to the people who now have your token in return for the dollars or euros that they have given you, and therefore you can put that backing asset in a yield-bearing instrument such as a treasury bond or an interest-bearing deposit account. It's not allowed to be too risky. You can't go and spend it all on buying Nvidia or Tesla stock, for example, but in any case it becomes passive income for the stablecoin issuer. You get about 4% on treasury bonds, so that means that if you manage to mint $100 billion worth of a stablecoin and you have $100 billion worth of assets given to you by people, they're missing out on the opportunity to make money with their money, and you'll be getting $4 billion a year for just putting it all in the bonds. So anyway, that's a bit about stablecoins. It explains why I think people are so enthusiastic about them, or certain organizations are, and why more and more are jumping on the bandwagon. The thing that I found rather interesting recently is the emergence of smart contract blockchains, typically Ethereum clones, that are not using a native cryptocurrency to cover the gas fees, but are using a stable coin. So the first that was causing a bit of interest a month or so ago was Hyperliquid. They're a DeFi, I think it's a layer 2, I don't know, maybe it's a layer 1. Anyway, it's a DeFi blockchain with the interesting property that the gas for paying for doing your DeFi things on it is paid for in USDC, so that's Circle's stablecoin. And they decided they wanted to shift to their own issued stablecoin because they didn't want that free money to go to Circle. They wanted it to stay within their own ecosystem, and as a result the Hyperliquid chain is moving to using their own stablecoin to pay for the gas fees. Now, firstly, there is something interesting with having a chain that uses stablecoins to pay. The first thing is that it becomes more appealing to conventional finance because they're all still a little bit antsy about cryptocurrencies, except perhaps for Bitcoin and maybe Ether, but it's seen as a bit weird and esoteric. But if you've got something that has parity dollar value, then they get a lot more happy with the idea of messing around on it. So I can see the marketing appeal of these stablecoin financed blockchains. The second rather interesting thing, I did have another point. What was it? No, it's escaped me. Hopefully I'll remember it before the end of the video. So the second one that's been recently announced is a chain called Arc by Circle. It is also going to be a stablecoin paid for blockchain, paid for by, surprise, surprise, USDC. And the neat thing as a user of these chains is that typically most people have a national currency like the dollar or euro or yen or whatever that they get through ordinary life with, so they have a kind of a gut feel of what it's worth, what you're spending. The issue you have with things like Ethereum is that if I say to you that it's going to cost you 1,500 gwei to pay for your transaction, you have to do a whole bunch of computations. And those of you who have messed around with smart contracts have probably gone to gas price websites to look up what the gas price is, and then had to hook into a market or an exchange site to find out what the ether to dollar rate is. If you don't trust, or if you're trying to compute, write computer programs that work out how much you're spending on your transactions. It's okay with wallets, because with wallets they usually give you a translation in the currency that you choose, but certainly if you're a developer, you have to get that right, or you might accidentally be spending hundreds of dollars on a transaction because the gas price is particularly high. So denominating it in a stablecoin is really neat, because now you have a very clear sense and a gut feel as to what the cost is going to be. Plus, conveniently, dollars are have the number of decimal places and the magnitude that we're familiar with. So the problem you have when you're dealing with Ethereum is the way is 10 to the minus 18 ether. That's a lot of zeros, a lot of decimal places. Gets a bit hard for people to have a sense of, is this the right magnitude or not? Whereas when you're dealing with tens, hundreds or thousands, it's a bit easier to understand that at a gut level. So I think there's going to be a lot more activity in this space because of traditional finance. It's now got a legal footing. That means they don't fear that the rug is going to be pulled out underneath them by the regulators anytime soon. It's using a currency that they're familiar with, rather than some weird esoteric crypto thing that only a few strange people who work in the cubicles down the corridor seem to understand. It's now getting a traditional footing. Now, a video that I'll make after this one, because this one's been going on for quite a while, it will be about that shift and about the disappointment that some of the earlier, more libertarian, I suppose, or more counterculture people who got involved in blockchain may be feeling at this point. I did actually mention in my book, Move Over Brokers, Here Comes the Blockchain, that I believed that at the point that blockchain gets adopted by the conventional finance world, it'll have reached a form, a shape, and a state that the original participants in the space are not going to be particularly happy with. I made that observation in 2020, so go me for having some prescience there. So I think that'll be an interesting video next time, but I'll talk about that a bit more after this one. I'll wrap this one up for now. I hope you found it interesting, and keep an eye out on the space, because I think we're going to see a lot taking off so very, very soon, in terms of it no longer being a fringe or a niche activity, but truly becoming embedded in society, just not in the form that we all originally hoped. That's it for now. See you soon. Bye.